I applaud each of you for taking a step I never took, namely a proactive step to work to become a leader. I waited until I was in my 30s when I moved from Houston to Dallas. I was already a practicing lawyer for 10 years. I knew exactly almost nobody in Dallas, and I felt for the first time I had to join associations and groups, and I had not been doing that. I had done what many lawyers do. I had simply practiced, and I thought if I made my clients and my boss happy, that was the end of it. I learned late for me, and you've learned earlier, many of you at least, that that's not all there is to the practice of law. There's much more to it, and being a leader and being involved in associations is a big part of that. If I knew then what I know now, I could have saved myself quite a bit of frustration, time, trouble. So I'm going to share a few thoughts with you that I acquired, if you want to call it, in the school of hard knocks. First, I think we have to sort of consider ourselves as clay to be molded in leadership position. I think if you want to talk about the clay to be molded, you need to begin by knowing yourself. Know where your ethical center is and know how you work best. So you have to have your personal life and your professional life, namely your practice, in order. You need to have systems and procedures. You need to be efficient. These sound like basics, but they're not. So many lawyers I know, even of my vintage, are still disorganized, are still not able to participate, they say, in associations and in leadership positions because they don't have their personal and professional lives organized. So that's step one. Maximize your effectiveness, deal with problems as they come up at work, return your phone calls the day or the next day that you receive them, and it keeps anthills and prevents them from becoming Mount Everest that you have to later overcome. Another thing, preparing your clay to be molded, is staying centered ethically. Know who you are. You have to look in the mirror each day. Do you really want to win at all costs? People who are ethical succeed. People who are ethical become leaders. Here's a secret. Nice guys and nice gals really do finish first. You're going to be subjected to so many temptations to take ethical shortcuts, financial temptations and time temptations and client and co-counsel temptations and opposing counsel temptations. Don't succumb to that. Don't let your conduct be determined by how your opposing counsel treats you. You should be the same person. If they play you dirty, that does not give you permission to play dirty back. So always take the high road. I'm telling you, I have been tempted on any number of occasions not to do that, and I've never regretted it. My legal assistant has now worked with me for over 20 years in 3 different law firms. And early on, she would say, why are we giving them yet another extension the other side? Why are we bending over backwards for them? Because they haven't done this, this, and this. And I told her, and she now is a convert to the view that we are who we are. It doesn't matter what they do. We grant reasonable requests for extensions. We play fair. We never play dirty. We don't, if we have to lose because we play fair, then so be it. We have to lose. So one of the things you might do is just consult the lawyer's creed. We are supposed to understand it, read it, know it, and educate our clients about it. And it has quite a few things. Professionalism requires more than merely avoiding the violation of laws and duties. That's just one of many, many guideposts that are in the lawyer's creed. So if you have any doubt about whether your ethical center should be, open up the lawyer's creed. We have promised to follow that, and it's just chock full of basics about how to be ethical. And it just shines. People like nice people. Be nice to people. Everyone you run across is fighting a great battle you know nothing about. Remember that basic truism and treat people with kindness, even when they're not treating you with kindness. You will have clients who won't treat you with kindness. You will have other lawyers in the profession, be they opposing counsel or lawyers you're competing with trying to get the same cases, who will not treat you with kindness. Always treat them with kindness. Another basic to prepare your clay to be molded for leadership is embrace hard work. Don't take shortcuts. I can't tell you the number of young lawyers and older lawyers over the years who've approached me and basically said, What's the secret? What's the shortcut? How do you do that? And the answer always is you crack a lot of sweat. You put in a lot of hours. You decide you want it and you make the sacrifices. There are no shortcuts. There just aren't. So don't buy into that mantra that, oh, there's some secret sauce. The secret sauce is showing up. Woody Allen said 90% of life is just showing up. That's what it involves to prepare your clay. Be an original, be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. Don't be afraid to be in groups, but beware that groups often go in the wrong direction. Be yourself. Guess what? You have special talents and abilities that you may not even know about. If you try to copy someone else, you're going to fail. That you'll never be as good at being them as you will as being yourself. And then 2 more things about molding the clay before I give you just a few thoughts on good leaders. Find mentors. Nobody has succeeded without mentors. I would be nobody and I would be nowhere without lots of mentors. I didn't learn that lesson until I was in my 30s. I'm sort of a do it alone, do it myself, self-sufficient kind of guy. And I wish I had learned earlier that I, like everyone, needed mentors. Most of the big breaks in my career and in leadership positions and whatever it may be have resulted because of mentors. Yes, I was auditioning without knowing it for those mentors when I was interacting with them, whether they were opposing counsels or co-counsels or in an association. And that reminds me, keep in mind, you are always auditioning, whether you know it or not. People are watching you. People want to help others, and they want to help others who are worthy, who are ethical, who work hard. So understand and embrace the idea people are watching you and you are auditioning for future roles. Whether you understand your auditioning, whether you've ever heard of the roles or not, you are always auditioning in life. People are watching you, whether you know it or not. The last thing to mold your clay is take risks and don't be afraid to fail. Take risks and don't be afraid to fail. You learn so much more from your failures. You will fail repeatedly. The guy who started Pizza Hut started, I forget, over 100 failed restaurants before he eventually was successful with Pizza Hut. So you will fail repeatedly, but learn from your failures. Don't be afraid of them. It should be and must be in our DNA already as trial lawyers that we are risk takers. And to be an effective lawyer and leader, you have to be. We've talked about the clay that needs to be molded. That's you, the clay that will be molded into leaders. But what are my thoughts about how you end up as a leader and what the traits of good leaders are? Well, good leaders are this. They are mentors, they're inspirations, and they're friends to those who are around them. That's what good leaders are. Winston Churchill said, we make a life by what we get, but we make a living by what we give. Good leaders give more than they get. Good leaders use the word we much more than they use the word I. Maya Angelou said, people forget what you say to them and what you may say, but they don't forget how they make you feel. And good leaders make people around them feel good about themselves, feel good about their profession, feel good about being lawyers. Let's face it, practicing law is a business. It's a business, unfortunately. It used to be so much more of a profession. So leaders in law make people feel good about the practice of law. It's not simply a business. It's so much more than just the business of law, or protecting the business of law, or protecting a group of lawyers who practice in the business of law. It's about professionalism. It's about camaraderie. It's about goals that are higher than any one person. It's about an association that has ideals that survive beyond the leaders each year, ideals that are perpetuated by the new leaders as they come in, and they're grown and developed and taken even further. Good leaders consistently do the right thing the right way for the right reasons. They're ethical. That's what good leaders do. Good leaders exhibit moral courage. The root of the word courage is cor, which means heart. Courage used to mean to speak one's heart. Later, it came to be corrupted, some would say, to mean heroism, as in physical heroism. But really, the root of courage is speaking your heart. In other words, being vulnerable. Good leaders are not afraid to be vulnerable. Good leaders are not afraid to say, I don't know the answer. Can someone else find it? Good leaders do not have to be the smartest person in the room. Good leaders don't have to know everything. They don't. They don't at all. Some of the best leaders I've ever been around understood their limitations, and they listened to others and they consulted others. That's what good leaders do. Mark Twain said, it is curious that physical courage in the world should be so common, but moral courage should be so precious and rare. I think that accounts for something there, and Twain was onto something. Good leaders have moral courage, and it's rare, and that's why leaders stand out, because they have moral courage. So leaders, in summary, give much more than they get. Leaders, in summary, exhibit moral courage. Leaders, in summary, don't have to know it all. Don't have to use the word I. They use the word we. They work in groups. They empower others. They make others feel good about themselves and the profession of law. That's what good leaders do in the legal space. When I think of leaders in the law that I respect, leaders who I respect over the years, and leaders who have been my mentors, I think of the shining examples of lawyers who give more than they get. I think of shining examples of lawyers who stop and mentor and try and uplift others. I think of real-life exemplars of the fictional sainted lawyer Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. Those are the leaders in the legal profession who I think about. Leaders in the legal profession are those kinds of rare individuals when we face an ethical quandary or we face an issue in an association or in our practices. We say, what would that leader do? We ask ourselves that question, and the answer gets us out of the box, gets us out of the quandary. That's what good leaders do. And so if you achieve that pinnacle and you achieve those characteristics and you integrate those characteristics, then I will be proud, and I already am proud. I will call you my comrade, my friend. Thank you very much for your time today.